As I get older, there are certain things that, or certain lessons that I realise I need to keep learning. One of those lessons that I need to keep learning is that it's the small things that matter. It's the small things that matter. So often, especially as I kind of went through my 20s and early 30s, I thought it was the big and spectacular in kind of every area of life that mattered. But as I kind of get older, the more I realise it's not the big and spectacular that matters. It's the small and significant that matters. So I look back on my mum's life. It's the small things that I really look back on and treasure. Wendy, if you could bring them first. Slide up. That's my mother. It's one of the last photos that I've got of her. That was at our wedding. I'll show you another picture of that in a moment. But that was taken at our wedding. She died 4 months after that photo was taken. And when I kind of look back, as I say, it's not the amazing things. It's not the birthday parties that she threw for me, or the amazing way she seemed at the drop of a hat to be able to cater for about 20, 25 people, as kind of my dad invited them back from church, and my mum gave them kind of that look, and suddenly out of the freezer and, you know, a huge kind of feast appeared. It's not kind of those things that I remember. It's the times where, fairly late into the evening, we would chat about my day, which, as I kind of went through my teenage years, generally got later and later in the evening, I actually bothered to say something, you know, kind of come in from school, and it would be, how's your day been, what? And then that would carry on. I'd go up to my room, and then about 10:15, like, we would kind of have a cup of hot chocolate together, and I'd actually then feel like I could kind of open up and talk to her about stuff. It's the little words of comfort that she gave me. It's the tears that I remember her shedding when I went off to university and they dropped me off and I was desperate just to get them out. Go on, go, leave me. This is the next stage, this is freedom. It's the next stage of the rest of my life. I remember my mum crying. And then a couple of years later, that kind of really resonates with me about how much she loved me and cared for me. It's the small things that matter. Just in the last couple of weeks, there have been 2 small things in just very ordinary life things, if you like, that happened to me. Just my life as a vicar, that meant a huge amount. A couple of weeks ago, Gareth and Gillian Keller, who many of you will know, come to our 9:30 service. They just invited me round for coffee. And I just spent this lovely couple of hours with them. And after I left, it was one of those times that I just left from having a simple cup of coffee, and I went away and I felt incredibly loved and incredibly built up and just thoroughly enjoyed the 2 hours. It's a really simple thing, but it meant so much. And then on Friday of this week, I thought I was invited. That's not officially true, because I had to go to the life group that Nick and Pam run in their house. And the reason I had to go was Miranda was leading the life group, and Miranda's training at the moment to be a licensed lay minister in the church, and so I had to go to assess her. So I sat in the, well, I wouldn't say I sat quietly, do I? I never do much quietly. But anyway, I sat in the corner of the room and I had this sheet and I had to kind of mark what she was doing. And Miranda did an evening on Benedict and the Benedictine monks who founded this church. In 1135, you can see in the window over there if you're interested in that sort of stuff. But as well as talk about Benedict, she talked about the spiritual discipline of something called Lectio Divina, which actually should be sacred reading or spiritual reading of the Bible. When you take the Bible passage and you read it incredibly slowly. And Sue Dean was there on Friday evening, and she read a passage of scripture. We looked at that passage where the woman who has been bleeding for years, she fights her way through the crowd to grab the hem of Jesus' garment, and she's healed as she touches him. Extraordinary story in so many ways. But Sue read it in a pace I've never heard anyone read the Bible before. Incredibly slowly. She emphasised every single word. And it was extraordinary because she read it and then we prayerfully reflected on it afterwards. It was like God was, speaking to all of us out of the passage. It was an incredible time. And then I got to kind of towards the, and I'd been reading this passage through the week that we've just had Greg read to us. And a whole week I've been really struggling with it. I think, oh God, it's an amazing story. How's it relevant to us right now? I'd love it if people were being healed left, right and centre. We believe in the same miraculous God who the stuff he did 2,000 years ago he still is going to do today. But right now we're not seeing a huge amount of it. And what meaning does it have for us now? How does it relate to today? And then I suddenly thought, Lectio Divina. I'm going to read this incredibly slowly. And as I began to read it incredibly slowly, felt God begin to speak. Wendy, can you flip back to the reading? That's okay. If you've got it on your sheet or on your phone, just want to quickly look it up. And this is what God began to emphasise to me. The apostles performed many signs and wonders among the people. All the believers used to meet together in Solomon's colonnade. No one else dared join them, even though they were highly regarded by the people. Nevertheless, more men and women believed in the Lord and were added to their number. Crowds gathered, also from the towns around Jerusalem. This, folks, is the church in fifth gear. This is the church in acceleration. This is the church doing the things that Jesus called the church to do. And do you see the thing that I slightly emphasised there? Church was among the people. Friends, we're not called, fortunately, to stay in here. We are called to be out there. And some of you sit there going, yeah, I've heard this a million times. As we have. But so often, all our focus somehow drawn back to being church looking inside than being outside. Because the truth is, we're all out there all the rest of the week. We're there already. The fact is, are we seeing the small things that are going to make a really big difference? Now, a couple of weeks ago, I talked about the fact that we can think about, kind of being out in the world and in some ways sharing our faith in words or action. In some ways, is quite a really tricky thing to do, but it's not. It's actually really simple because it just starts by us saying, okay, God, would you bless this situation that I'm about to go into now? Would you be with me? Would you give me an opportunity? Would something happen? It's a really small thing. And I always love it when I've kind of talked about something and then one of you comes and says, do you know what? I did that. And this is what happened. So I'm going to invite my very good friend, Mr. Reg Berry, to come and join me. He's going to talk a little bit about what happened.
Good morning. Look at the screen. It may ring a bell. But some of you know that on Friday I reached the grand old age of 80. Moses was... Thank you, Miranda. Moses was 80 years old and Aaron 83 when they spoke to Pharaoh. This is before anything about let my children go. This is the very first opportunity as I read the Bible. And that was in October. I was prompted to look at that and I read that and it resonated with me. Now, some of you know I've got a dog. Slide 2. He's asleep, but he'll wake up. Now this is my large pooch. He's the nearest you can get to a domesticated polar bear. And when he gets into the park, he looks and sees who he can go and annoy. And I was in the park on Tuesday, and there weren't many people. I was walking along, and this beautiful black dog comes walking towards me. Really well kept, nice coat, everything. And he gets down on the floor, and I say, no jumping. He's ready to go, and he shoots off. Totally misses the dog, but goes and makes a great fuss of the late owner. I make apologies. I say, I'm ever so sorry. He's just like that. She says, oh, don't worry, but my dog's a patting dog. It's well trained. I thought, yes, I can see that. It's beautiful. It goes into care homes. It goes into schools and people pat it. And I thought, yeah. But I felt a bit sorry for Henry at that point. And I said, well, he is a good boy. He goes into a care home to see my wife who's got Alzheimer's, and she's in a care home, and she pats him along with the other people. And he is good. And then she said these things to me. I have some friends who are suffering from dementia. I'm very worried for them. I said, I fully understand. I also have a close family member who went for a test, and she's only just heard as I walk in that she's got to go back to the hospital urgently. And then I heard myself saying this, because strange things have been happening to me since October. And I heard myself saying, I go to church. I believe in the power of prayer. May I pray for your close family member? She throws her arms around me, hugs me with considerable strength. Tears cascade out of her eyes. Tears cascade out of my eyes. She thanks me, and yet again. And I say, I'm on a parking ticket, I must go. I will pray for your close family member. I shake her hand, and I walk away. Strange things have been happening to me since I read that verse. I've been prompted to do things that I have no idea why I'm doing. Absolutely no idea at all. And the Lord has blessed me considerably. Thank you.
Brilliant, Reg, thank you so much for sharing. Now, you might be thinking, well, I can't do that. And do you know what? You're right, you can't, because you're not Reg. But you're you. And God has put you in a unique situation that nobody else in this room is going into next week, the week after. And you can simply go into that situation, just set up an arrow prayer to go in, Lord, bless me. Help me to be the church in this situation I'm going into. We've got our vision statement as a church that we want to be people that grow in the kingdom of God, reaching out in faith, hope and love. Really simple things. Having the faith to know that God is going to be with you, and He is. He's going to be with you in that situation. He's going to be with you this week. Who you go to, who you encounter. And because the Spirit of God lives in you as a follower of Jesus, you are a bringer of hope and love to those you meet. And now some of you might be thinking this. You say, hang on a minute, Tim, you've got Reg up here to do that. You spout up front and tell us all to go and do this. Are you doing it yourself? Let me give you an example also of my last couple of weeks, because that thought, God prompts me with it quite a lot. You'd be quite pleased to hear. I think like the Holy Spirit sometimes slaps me metaphorically around the back of the head going, you can't just stand there and tell them to do it if you're not doing it to yourself. So a couple of weeks ago, it was a Tuesday. I know it was a Tuesday because I was on my way to Aldi, which is the thing I do very early every Tuesday morning. If you've never been before, it's an experience. So I was going over Chertsey Bridge, heading towards Aldi, and I got this sort of slap round the back of the head from the Holy Spirit, like, Tim, are you doing it? And I said, okay, Lord, may I be a blessing in a small way when I go to Aldi. So I get to Aldi, nothing particularly happens. I try to smile at people a lot and, just kind of generally kind of be nice. I think actually when I went and got my trolley, a lady was just leaving and she kind of went, oh, have my trolley, just give me your pound. She was kind of more blessing me than the other way around. I was like, okay, Lord, not sure what's going on here. So I went round Aldi, nothing particularly happened. Got to the checkout, smiled incredibly at the checkout girl, and then the race began. If you've never been to Aldi, you won't know what the race is. If you want to compete in a supermarket race, go to Aldi. When you get to the checkout, you'll find out literally what happens. They pick your food up, they beep it, and they throw it at you incredibly quickly. And then you've got to get it in your bag, and you've got to get out of there, because you've only got about a minute and a half, I think. They kind of get you through and then tell you to leave. And I now really enjoy it. It's now like a competition. I get my bags laid out in the kind of the perfect area. I look for the queue with the longest queue so I can get all my food on the checkout. I can get ready. The minute they start beeping, I'm like, and then I get back and I realise that I have kind of like apples and bread and eggs and toilet rolls all in the same bag. And because it's just a complete jumbled mess. But I've done it, because if you don't get it, you then have to move your food to the side. I don't know why I'm telling you this. You have to move the food to the side and fill your bags there. So it's a very bizarre thing. But anyway, I don't know why I told you that, because nothing happened in Aldi. Anyway, got back in the car, heading home. I was like, Lord, I don't think I was a blessing to anybody in Aldi. What about when I get home? I get home and we currently, as you have seen over the last few weeks, we have a lot of builders in the house at the moment. We've been scaffolding up, that's gone. We've now had our kitchen done, which is lovely. I know some of you have been peering in through the window. You can just come in and look, it's okay. We're going to charge £1 entry. No, we're not. Just come and have a look. Anyway, we had the kitchen done, and the guy, the plumber, who was doing the plumbing bits and doing the tiling in the kitchen, this guy called Charlie. And when I came back from Aldi, Charlie was the only one that was there. And I walk into the kitchen, and Charlie puts down what he's doing. I got to know Charlie quite well. This is quite a regular thing with Charlie. He would often put down what he was doing because he likes a conversation. But he put down what he was doing, and he said, Tim, why are you a vicar? I was like, wow, this is an opportunity. And so then, and I limited it to 20 minutes because he needed to get back to work. But I then took the next 20 minutes just talking to Charlie about my life and my faith journey. And I went, oh, that's really interesting. And he said, wow. And he then recounted a lot of the situations that he's been through. He's been through some horrendous stuff in his life. And he said, because of all this horrendous stuff that's happened, I can't believe. And I said, I totally get that. I totally understand it. I said, the only thing I've found is that God is actually with me in the pain. It doesn't take the pain away. Doesn't stop terrible things happening to you when you decide to follow Jesus, but God is with you in it. You're like, okay. And then the conversation went on. I made sure he got back to work, and I went and did something, kind of semi-important, and just kind of left into it, thinking, Lord, okay, I've done my bit. Now, what's the next stage for Charlie? Because the thing about Charlie is, he spends his entire time going into vicars' houses, going to vicarages and rectories, because his company has the contract for doing all of them all over Kensington. So I was like, okay, Lord, next time he goes into the next vicarage, Lord, would you have him have another conversation with someone else? Because all we need to do is go out and do the little things. We're not fully responsible for people's destinies. What we are responsible for and people's lives here on earth, what we are responsible for is just telling people in little ways of faith, hope and love what we found, and being out amongst the people. And when we're out amongst the people, the miracles happen. When we focus in on what's going on in here, we can begin to tear each other apart, because that's not how it was meant to be. And one of the things that I find as I'm getting older is the institution of the church. I have not a huge amount of time for. This is being recorded. I don't really have a huge amount of time for it at all. Because we're not called to be an institution, we're called to be out there. Changing lives. Doing something extraordinary in really small, simple ways. So, as today, we thank God for our mothers. Wendy, if you just flick on to the next slide. No, just to show you where that kind of picture came from. That's what it looked like in 2003. There you go. I also need to tell the in-laws that, as I'm seeing them this afternoon, that they were in the photo as well. But friends, family is a gift from God, not only mothers, but all of our families. Today, treasure them again like never before, because we do not know when our last day will come. Treasure them. Give thanks to them. When, if you could just flick on. Thank God for mothers. Treasure them, that they are a gift from our Heavenly Father. And this week, let's be amongst the people, blessing in whatever simple way that we can. And as we do that, we will hear more and more stories in your situation. Yes, with you, with what you're doing, with the people you're meeting. You'll see more stories like Reggie's, more stories like the one I shared this morning. And person by person, we'll be more out there than we are in here. And more lives will be changed. Amen.